sucker punch at the death. What did you make of the performance?
Obviously affected from the first incident and the start of the game. We're bitterly disappointed with what happened. And then in general, I think the players have played really, really well. I think the performance was against a team that's had good results over the last couple of weeks. We created chances with a man less. We had good opportunities to make it 2-0, really good opportunities, and should have done. So that's the disappointing side for me. And then obviously the goal at the end is bitterly disappointing because they've not really created any chances apart from that, really.
With added on time added on as well, it was almost 90 minutes you played with 10 men. What was your reaction to the red card?
I just think it's just such an important decision early on in the game that he's got to get it absolutely right. And I think that the referee, in hindsight of the video which I've just watched, is in a really good position to make a decision. It looks as though he makes that decision for it to be a yellow card, which I think is probably right. And then for some reason has information from 60 yards away from an assistant referee that deems it to be more dangerous than that and a straight red, which I think we're all find difficult to take.
You mentioned the performance from the lads, obviously playing with 10 men for so long, still creating chances, firmly well on the front foot. Was it just the clinical nature that maybe just slightly lacked when you go down to 10 men in that scenario?
I think so, yeah. I mean, I just think that we stuck to the game plan, really. It was hard for Ollie because then he had to play up top on his own, obviously. But we felt as though we could get down the sides and create good opportunities, which we did. Obviously, when Max's played a great little 1-2 and got in the first half and squared it across the box, you'd expect Reece to score a little bit behind him, but Geordie's header in the second half, real good opportunities, and I think on the balance of play, I think that we probably deserve to go 2-0 up.
That's 7 points now from the last 3 games in the last week, and that's still a very good record that we can then take up and then try and build the momentum in the second half of the season, isn't it?
Well, without doubt. I mean, I think if you look back at all the games that we've lost, I think over the last few weeks, it's when we're down to 10 men. So certainly discipline comes into it. We're going to have to make sure that we are whiter than white, I think. I think some of the decisions that we've had against us that have resulted in red cards are really, really poor, and today being one of them. But we can't let that affect us. We've got to make sure that we still do our job and make sure the discipline is nailed down and continue in the decent form that we've been in.
And obviously this week we had 2 additions in Callum and Ollie both coming into the club. How have they both settled in so far this week? Yeah, really, really good. It's been a bit hectic for Ollie because obviously he was moving house in London, so he's had a little bit of to and froing, and it's going to take a week or 2 for him to settle down and just get into a rhythm of being here. But he seems a great lad. He's trained properly, and I think it was hard for him today. I think he did well, really well at times, but it was an hard shift to play up there up top on your own. And Callum's just a little bit behind the 8 ball. He's had some hard training over the last 3 or 4 days, and he'll have another hard week this week, but he'll be ready to go, I'm sure, in about a week's time. Nice one, cheers, Steve.
Steve, when you've gone down to 10 men so early in a game, does that make a point actually not a bad result? Can you look at it in that way? I think
in the cold light of day we'll probably look at that and against the team that's been in form and beat the top teams, then probably will, but it's just the late goal. The late goal makes you smart, and the late goal just takes away that little bit of gloss that could have been on top of the cake, really, because I think the creators with chances we created, we probably deserve to win, really.
That second goal in home games is you've been chasing that for a lot of games now, haven't you? Yeah. So it's the crucial one. If you can get that, it changes the atmosphere, changes the pattern of the game, I'm guessing.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great goal, the first goal, and I think that we have had opportunities in the home games right from the start of the season to go 2-0 up and kind of really put the opposition on the back foot, and we just need to be just a shade more clinical in the opposition's box.
You've had some big calls, red card calls against you this season, haven't you? Is there anything to do with the players and the referees coming into this environment they come into at the racecourse these days?
I don't know, it's a good question. I think that the 2 reds that we've had over the last few weeks have been disappointing. McAlinden's was harsh, and ordinarily if that was anywhere else on any pitch, that was maybe a yellow, maybe just a foul. And then obviously Paul's today is again disappointing, and I just think the referees have just got to back their own judgment. He backed his judgment, he decided what it was, he decided it was a yellow card, he got his book out, he's ready to write his name in it, and to change his mind for somebody who's an extra 50 yards away from where he is when he's an experienced referee. We just, we can't quite understand that.
And yet, from that point on, side played some really good stuff, didn't they?
Yeah, really good. We always felt that if we could get the wing backs pushed right up the pitch and let the centre halves bring the ball forward like Max did for the chance, and Aaron, then we'd have a great chance to get crosses in the box from good areas. And I think we did that really well. And on another day probably could have scored 3 goals really.
Steve, the transfer window closes on Monday. Obviously been very active. You just mentioned the 2 signings. Anticipate a little bit more business between now and then?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think that Phil's obviously liaising with Sean and the powers that be to kind of, for us to be as strong as we possibly can going into the run-in, because we all know the rules for us is that we can't bring loans in. So the important thing for us is that we have covering in absolutely every position, knowing full well, after Monday we can't strengthen again.
Of course, it's a different scenario for us compared to other clubs.
Which is unfair as well.
Yeah, it's totally different set of rules when you're playing in the same division. Yeah,
correct.
I totally agree. With regards to players coming in, how many would you say? I mean, you've done some business already.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'd just like maybe just to bring one more in at the moment. I think just one more player would be good. I mean, I think that, it's disappointing today because I think the lads were in a really good place. It was a good win in the week, and we felt, as Grimsby, did to us early in the season, they're a good attacking team. So it was a really, really valuable 3 points. And I just felt the lads in the warm-up. I felt the strength in the dressing room. I think there's a confidence there. And I really felt it could be a difficult day for the opposition if we were bang at it. But obviously that all changed 3 minutes in.
Quick question for Canada. What's it like playing with all this added attention these days?
You just get used to it, really. I mean, I think that we've all, obviously me and Phil have been doing it a long time, so just come from a club where the intention's constantly on you 24 hours a day. So you get used to it. The people who are around us are really nice. I think they're respectful. I think if we tell them not to film and we don't want any sound on, then they respect that, which is great. So there's mutual respect between both, and you get used to it. And we just felt we cut all the swear words out when they showed the film at the end of the season.
And people in Canada hearing about Wrexham and learning about Wrexham for the first time thanks to Ryan Reynolds.
Sure.
What would you like them to know about this community and this club?
It's a very, very tight-knit club. I think it's obviously well supported, that's obvious, but it's from an area that's generally classed as being a working class area. The pits were the main things in going back many years. I think that they're real passionate about the football, passionate about the club. They've shown that already this season. And I think that they really respect the fact that Ryan and Rob have took over the club, and I think they want to get really behind us to pay them back in some way.
Thank you.
Pleasure.